Hey guys, it's Hayden here making another video. Today I want to talk about stress, how to deal with it, how to manage it, and what to do when you have it. Let's get into it. Stress obviously can be a number of things. What I mean when I say stress is anything that puts strain or difficulty on your life in some shape or form. So I've noticed that when I find myself in high stress situations, I have a tendency to get overwhelmed and get stuck and get kind of hard on myself, especially afterwards. I tend to criticize myself, especially in high anxiety situations, so high social anxiety, or if I kind of go into a depression, I can get kind of hard on myself for not doing things, for sort of eating things that I normally wouldn't eat, like eating unhealthy or eating too much. When we're in these like sort of high stress situations, we aren't our optimal selves. We're doing things that maybe we don't want to do, but we're doing it because like we're trying to cope, or we're trying to just deal with where we're at in the moment. So I want to talk about different levels of stress, so high stress, middle stress, and low stress, and what to expect reasonably from your functioning at those different levels, and also to remind you to be gentle with yourself when you're in each of these states. And we'll get into this a little bit later in the video. So what I'm going to talk about first is high stress. So high stress can mean a few things, but basically what it means is you're in a situation where the stress from whatever shape or form it's coming from is so overwhelming or so difficult to deal with that you just feel stuck or locked, or you basically are having a hard time functioning and you can't think normally. Your system's been hijacked by your stress, essentially. So for me, this happens a lot with anxiety. So I get a lot of anxiety and I think a lot and I overthink, or I just feel anxious. When you're in this state of stress, this really high state, to expect any sort of high level functioning or to expect you to make decisions that you want to be making is not necessarily a fair expectation of you at this point. Like most of the time when I'm at high stress, I'm just surviving. I'm just like trying to get through the moment. So one of the things that you can focus on is either focusing on how to get through it, focusing on finding a way to disengage, possibly, if that's a possibility. So if you're in an environment that's causing a lot of anxiety, so for example, if you're at a big group gathering, you might be able to disengage and find a place where it's a little more quiet. Oftentimes with high stress, you just kind of have to do what you can in the moment. So finding what next possible step you could possibly take to make the situation a little bit better. It may not make it a ton better, but at least do what you can in the moment. All right, so that's going to be high stress. Middle stress is kind of like when we're feeling a little bit stressed, a little bit anxious, or a little bit depressed. So you're definitely stressed, but you're still able to like make some choices. You're still able to sort of have some decision in how you engage with the feelings that you're having. So this is kind of a good place to be able to kind of try to understand what's happening and maybe shift your perspective, or maybe develop a quick short-term strategy to be able to help yourself with the stress. So for example, if you're like a little bit nervous to go out with your friends, find a way to calm yourself down. So you might be able to like do some breathing exercises, or do like a little whatever like helps you to get through that. And this is a good place, like I said, to kind of experiment with different strategies for dealing with stress, for dealing with depression or anxiety. So you can kind of have like maybe some things that you do. So for example, like what helps me get out of depression is to exercise. That's like one of the biggest things for me, is exercising, stretching, stuff like that. So if I was in this middle state, I might be like, okay, well, I'm feeling a little depressed. I'm feeling a little anxious. You know, I don't really want to go exercise right now per se, because I'm not feeling great, but I have the motivation to go do it, and I'm able to do that. So that would be a good middle stress situation. It could also be a good high stress situation to do as well. If you're really high stress, it might be good to go exercise or something. But again, it really depends on what situation you're in, if that makes sense. So low stress. Low stress is when we're not triggered, when we're like at a relatively good state. We're kind of in a stable state for the most part. We're not super anxious. We're not super depressed or anything like that, or super stressed from work. This is a good time to look back on what happened before when we were struggling with medium level stress and high stress, and develop a plan of how to maybe handle the situation better. So, of course, in a non-judgmental way. We're going to want to look back and figure out how we could engage with that in a way that might be more productive or encourage us to be less stressed in that situation. Another thing with the low stress area is learning how to forgive yourself for when you do have those moments where you make those decisions that maybe you didn't wish you made, I guess is the right word, yeah. And give yourself forgiveness for that. I have a lot of times where I'm in a high anxiety situation and I say things or do things that like make no sense or really bother me because like I feel like didn't really represent me as a person. And a lot of the low stress operating is learning how to forgive yourself for those. If you can forgive yourself while you're in those stressful situations, that's obviously great. That's something that like over time you can build up to. That's not something that just like happens easily. At least for me, it didn't. So it's good to start doing that in the low stress situations. So I hope that was helpful to sort of break down those different stress levels for you guys. I know for me, it was helpful because it allows me to understand and gives me permission to have experiences and to go through the things that I go through without having the judgment afterwards, without having the expectation that I should be doing something other than what I was doing. That's not to say that I don't try to get myself out of a situation that is challenging or difficult. It's just learning how to accept the fact of where I am in the moment and then know that that's the best I can do right then and there, and then to go back afterwards and be able to look at it and try to take a better approach the next time. So I hope that's helpful for you, and I hope that will alleviate some of the judgment that often comes from decisions and from things that we do when we're not at our prime. So all right, guys, thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the video. I do offer sessions if you'd like to work with me. I charge $50 per hour. That information will be on my website, which will be in the description below. And if you'd like to comment or like the video, you can do that below as well. And I will catch you in my future videos. Bye for now.